silent, suffocating realization hitting millions of young Indians right now. The Indian metro dream has become a financial trap. It's 2026 and the math of being middle class just doesn't add up anymore. We're going through something called a decoupling, where the cost of living keeps going up, but salaries don't. What it takes to live in a city is slowly drifting away from what most jobs actually pay. For decades, the script was simple. Move to Mumbai, Bangalore, or Delhi. Get a corporate job and you've made it in life. But the numbers now tell a different story. Between 2020 and 2024, our incomes grew at a CAGR of roughly 5.4%. In that same time, rents in the big hubs exploded by 12% to 24% every single year. So even if your boss gives you a solid 9% raise this year, your landlord is probably asking for 15% or worse, telling you to move out just to double the rent for the next person. You're running faster, but the finish line is moving even faster. Hi, I'm Vanshika, your finance bestie, and before I even talk about rent, lifestyle, or choices, we need to talk about where this whole promise actually begins, which is the paycheck. If you look at the offer letters for most freshers moving to a city like Bangalore or Delhi today, the in-hand figure usually lands between 25k to 45k. A number that keeps repeating across industries is what many call the 3.5 LPA trap. Now, why is it a trap? Because that figure has been essentially frozen for over a decade. According to the Periodic Labour Force Survey, 2025 reports, real wages for salaried workers in India were actually 1.7% lower in mid-2024 compared to 2019. You were effectively earning less than the guy who had your exact same job 5 years ago. When our parents started out, a small salary still went a long way because rent didn't consume half their paycheck. Our parents were building a foundation while we are just trying to keep a roof over our heads. Globally, housing is affordable at 3 to 6 times your annual income. But in 2026, your city matters more than your job role because every metro city breaks that math in its own way. Let's start with Mumbai, the golden cage for the middle class. The price to income ratio here is 14.3, which means you'd have to work for nearly 15 years, spending 0 rupees on food or taxes just to own a roof over your head. In 2025 to 26, the average rent for a standard 2 BHK in Mumbai hit above 1 lakh per month. And that's not for luxury penthouses. It's for basic apartments in suburbs that used to be considered affordable. We've reached a point where people are paying London rents just to sit in Lower Parel traffic. You're not paying for space, you're paying for the postcode. If Mumbai drains you month after month, the next city makes you pay before you even begin. Welcome to Namma Bengaluru. The reason Bengaluru hits your wallet before you even start your job is the security deposit. While in the rest of India, you pay 1 or 2 months of rent upfront. Here, landlords demand 6 to 10 months. Rent for an average 2 BHK in areas like Bellandur or Sarjapur ranges between 45,000 and 60,000. So currently in 2026, if you're moving into a decent flat, you might need 4 to 5 lakhs in liquid cash just to get the keys. That's an entire year's savings for a mid-level developer, wiped out before they even unpack their bags. Then there's transport. Either you live near work and pay double rent or live far away and pay with time. In areas like Whitefield or Electronic City, daily Uber, Rapido or auto usage easily adds 6,000 to 8,000 rupees a month. But if Bangalore makes you pay with your time, the next stop makes you pay for the air you breathe. Yes, I'm talking about Dilwalo Ki Delhi. Delhi used to be the affordable alternative. You can still find a 1 BHK in East Delhi for 12,000 rupees to 15,000 rupees or stay in parts of South Delhi for around 25,000. But the real explosion is in Gurgaon. In prime spots like Golf Course Extension, 2 BHK rents have surged to 65,000 rupees and property prices are projected to grow by 8% to 12% annually. But there's where the Delhi NCR tax really hits you. The price you can't see on a rental agreement. Your health. The money you think you're saving on rent usually just gets redirected into air purifiers, doctor visits, and medication for respiratory issues. Cherry on top is lifestyle inflation. Social spending here is consistently 30% higher because of the massive eating out culture. Delhi is only affordable if you look at rent in total isolation. Even after you account for rent, health costs, and status trap, there's one more silent force eating your bank account, and that is convenience. When you're exhausted from a 2-hour Mumbai commute or drained by Bangalore traffic, you don't have the energy to cook. You stop walking and start clicking. A 200 rupees meal quietly becomes 350 rupees after platform fees, surge pricing, packaging, and GST. Order twice a day and you're spending over 10,000 rupees a month without realizing it. Swiggy, Zepto, Urban Company, and Uber aren't luxuries anymore. They are the time tax we pay to keep our lives from collapsing. Not because we want luxury, but because we are exhausted. Let's do the math on a 40,000 rupees enhanced salary. Rent in a shared flat, 18,000. Food including groceries and delivery, 8,000. Transport, 4,000. Utilities, Wi-Fi, electricity, maintenance, 4,000. Total 34,000 rupees. What's left is 6,000. That has to cover clothes, weekends, emergencies, and savings. One medical issue ends the month with zero. At this point, it's easy to blame yourself, but this isn't an individual problem. From 2015 to 2025, housing and food costs rose by nearly 80%, but freshers' salary rose 10 to 15% only. We are the first generation that is more educated, yet has lower purchasing power than the one before us. This isn't a mindset issue, it's decoupling. And the villain in the room is not us. It's a deliberate shift in the market. In 2022, there was 3.1 lakh affordable homes under 1 crore rupees available. By 2025, that supply dropped by 36%. Why? Because developers have abandoned the middle class, pivoting entirely to luxury housing. Across Gurgaon and Bangalore, luxury project launches have jumped by 60% and 73% respectively. Developers would rather build one 5 crore rupee presidential suite for an NRI than 560 lakh rupees apartments for junior managers. We are being told quite literally that these cities are no longer for us. We are being pushed 30 kilometers away to places like Devanahalli or Greater Noida, where rents are rising at 12 to 20% because everyone else is being pushed there too. So if the math is broken, why does everyone still stay? Because opportunity is concentrated here. Better jobs, better growth, better networks. Leaving feels like slowing your future. There's also societal pressure, so people adjust. They share rooms, delay milestones, and wait for the next hike. Sometimes it works, often it doesn't. A generation ago, the average first-time home buyer was 32 years old. Today, that number has crossed 40 to 45. By the time you can afford to belong to the city, your career is already halfway over. That's why we're starting to see reverse migration. People are looking at tier 2 cities like Indore, Lucknow, or Kochi and asking, why am I paying Mumbai prices for a Bangalore traffic jam and Delhi air? If we don't fix urban planning and curb speculative real estate, our cities will become gated enclaves for the ultra-wealthy, serviced by a vanishing middle class that can no longer afford to live within their walls. The question for the next generation isn't when will I buy a house, it's how much longer can I afford to stay. What do you think about this crisis in hand? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and hit the subscribe button. See you in the next one.